What? Am I supposed to say something now? Hello. Welcome to the Phantasmagorium. We are doing... I am now returned.
It's not letting me add us back to the stream. Fuck.
Oh, okay. I was hoping that someone would do an introduction. My God. Hello. We did all of this in rehearsal. We knew what we were doing, and we were happy to do so. But things went cockeyed when we went live. Tonight, we are going to be discussing the Hercule Poirots. The Kenneth Branagh was specifically. I watched the first half hour of Murder on the Orient Express. There is a full movie. I haven't seen it. Also, there is a movie called The Death on the Nile with Kenneth Branagh. I think Wonder Woman is in that one. I only saw the one with Peter Ustinov and David Niven, so I haven't seen the new one. Armie Hammer. And Armie Hammer, he's a cannibal. And so, yeah. Anyway, I saw that. Like, I haven't seen that one. But I saw the Peter Ustinov one. And now there's a new... There's a new Hercule Poirot. And it's A Haunting in Venice, which I just found out that Tina Fey is in it. So is Academy Award winner and Bond girl Michelle Yeoh. She's in some Star Trek as well. We won't talk about it. But yeah, so Haunting in Venice. I enjoy Agatha Christie movies. And yeah, we are live. Kat, I can hear you.
Okay, now you're finally...
I have been doing such a good job. I can't hear you at all. You're muted. Why are you muted? I can't unmute you. There you are. There you are.
Okay, I'll have to edit the video to get rid of the first 3 minutes or whatever.
We can take care of everything in post.
Okay. What were you saying?
I was just saying that I'm really a big fan of Hercule Poirot as a character. I have not seen any of these movies. I've only seen the first half hour of the first one.
Okay.
I
thought you
but
said...
it was so charming.
Oh, I thought you said you were rewatching both of them today.
I got distracted.
Okay.
So you read. Have you read the novels of Agatha Christie?
Some of them, yes.
Have you read Murder on the Orient Express?
No, I had not.
Did you like the movie?
Yeah, it was okay.
Which one did you prefer?
Of the three?
Of the Murder on the Orient Express adaptations. There are multiple.
I have only seen the new one.
You never saw the Sean Connery one?
I never seen the Sean Connery one. I had never read.
It's got Michael York.
I was aware. Well, it's never on TV, and it's not something you're going to find in a video store.
Oh man, you should check it out.
Right. So
it's a good movie. You know what's really interesting? about that, like the original Murder on the Orient Express, is that there is no sound of trains. They use the score to propel the movie because the director, I forget who it is, said no sound of trains. There was a guy whose entire job on the original Murder on the Orient Express was to record train sounds. And in the edit, the director said, F it, no train sounds. Hours and hours of sound just dismissed.
And that's for the original one?
Yes, with Sean Connery.
Why did he do this?
Creation of art.
Okay, that's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah, I've always been aware of the story and that movie existing. I'd just never seen it. And I had never read it. I remember seeing it in 2017, and the first one, I admit, thinking about it, the mystery I think is too convoluted, or the solution is way too convoluted. Some of the internal story logic doesn't work, and I didn't.
For which one?
For the Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
I thought some of the internal story logic doesn't work. The solution is really convoluted. And it didn't. I mean, I'm usually a sucker for whodunits, but for some reason, this one didn't have as much tension and suspense for me, because it's like, okay, the victim would recognize. Okay, because for those who don't know, the story is that Poirot is on a train on the Orient Express. His buddy
Poirot, like Ross Perot.
Hercule Poirot, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah, you fucking American. Say Poirot.
I did say Poirot.
No, you said Perot.
I did not. So he brings him on the train. His buddy Book is there. He gets a free ride on this train, and there's a bunch of people.
I'm sorry for yelling.
There's a avalanche one night as they're moving through the mountains, and they find that there's been a murder. The murder victim had tried to recruit Poirot to be his bodyguard on the train, and Poirot's like, no, I don't, do that for criminals. And so now that they're stranded here, having to dig themselves out of the avalanche, Poirot has to decide, well, he's going to basically help investigate the murder. And I thought that the moment he found out that at least two of the people on the train just happened to be tied to this kidnapping, in the backstory that the murder victim was the guilty party for the murder of this child in basically a parallel of the Lindbergh baby kidnapping type situation. It's like, well, once Poirot found that out, that at least two other people were tied to that case in some way, he should have immediately suspected that there's some type of bigger conspiracy going on, because it's like, that's too big of a coincidence. And each time and it takes him a while as he starts connecting the dots with each person somehow tied to it. I'm like, I was figuring it out a lot faster than he was, but he's always
They do set him up as being like some sort of like super genius god of omnipotence.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was a little odd that it was taking him a while to catch up with, like, okay, this can't be coincidence. It's like he says at one point, everybody is allowed one coincidence. It's like, well, there's one, there's two, there's three. It's like, how far are we going here?
Well, and so in the Murder on the Orient Express, like, is it the same sort of deal as? Well, it's an adaptation of the novel. I'm assuming everybody kills the guy.
Yeah, spoilers. Everybody does kill the guy. They all take.
Yeah, spoilers for an Agatha Christie novels. You fucking Amish.
The reason I don't think that works is like, oh, we're not capable of murder. We couldn't do it. And even Poirot comes to that conclusion, and he's like, oh, it's because none of you can bring yourselves to do it, so you all had to take part. And I'm thinking, the second any of them treks out to Turkey or whatever they were to get a ticket on that train, they know they're going there to commit a murder. So the idea that, oh, we're not capable of it, we needed to share. It's like, nah, you all knew what you were doing, and you're in on it. Again, the fact that he was literally sleeping in the compartment right next to where the victim was, and he didn't hear a thing. It's like you had, like 11 people or something going in there partaking in this, and if Poirot doesn't hear a thing, whereas in the second one, he's on the opposite side of the boat and is drugged on top of that because the killer's smart enough to do that, whereas in this one, no, he doesn't hear it. They're making quite a fun.
This again, in terms of adaptation, this is why I'm sort of partial. Like, I've seen the Albert Finney playing Hercule Poirot, and I understand why he was unaware, because they do, like, look at Kenneth Branagh's mustache in
All
he
three.
is he preens. Poirot preens. In the original, well, when Albert Finney does it, obviously he doesn't have as spectacular a mustache as Kenneth Branagh does, but he like has an entire Poirot has a night routine, and it is like he's got a mustache hammock, he's
Yeah,
got
they
like
showed
a
that.
hairnet, and he's got a night mask, and he prepares himself for sleep. And so it is more understandable in the characterization of Poirot in the original with Sean Connery. It makes more sense that he would not hear 12 people stabbing the guy to death.
Yeah, I just thought, like, no way you're gonna hear that.
Yeah.
The cast, they really stacked the deck for this one in terms of the amount of celebrities they were finding for this. But
Can I ask you a question as a woman?
Yeah, what?
Daisy Ridley, cute or not?
Sure. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Just a sure. Okay.
Not
I
as,
think she's very pretty.
yeah. So they stacked the deck for it, but I didn't feel that they each got their own moment to shine, so to speak. Like, I feel you could have gotten just about any cast of characters or cast of actors to
How do you
really.
feel about Johnny Depp and Derek Jacobi? And what's the other guy? That guy from the the Dumbledore movies. Josh Gad.
So
Do you like Josh Gad?
Yeah, Josh Gad I thought was fine.
He's great. I think he's a great actor.
Yeah, Johnny Depp was. I don't know. I thought it was a little phony. I could see through the accent, and I was just kind of seeing him the entire time. It was just a little weird. I didn't really buy into it as much.
He kind of shat the bed.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe I liked a lot.
He's great every time.
Yeah, he's great every time, no doubt.
Did he do it?
Well, he's part of it.
Oh, okay.
And then Judi Dench kind of there, but I feel they could have cast anybody for her role as well. And this is kind of goes to a thing
but even as an M fan, you're not just happy to see Judi Dench.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to see her. I'm just saying that a lot of the actors didn't really get their own time to shine or something. They're just kind of there, and I feel you didn't need a big stacked cast like that. But okay.
Same as the original, though.
Yeah, and much like in all three of these movies, the whole group of people, everybody's got a motive, so to speak. So I get the point in doing that up to a point, because it creates more tension. It tries to create more tension, but here, because it was like everybody's motivated by the same thing, it just gives away most of what the ending is too early. It was obvious that his other theory of somebody sneaking on the train and fleeing was no, you're in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. This avalanche just randomly happened. You never suspected that somebody caused the avalanche. Who's going to come all the way out there in the middle of nowhere and just trek out into the mountains and hope they're going to get back to civilization? Like, no.
Do you mind if I take you on a little bit of a weird crescent? We'll come back.
Yeah.
Murder on the Orient Express is an interesting movie because it takes place on the train. You cannot leave the train. The entire plot is the train.
Except for the small part outside of the train where they're,
at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
Do they leave the train in the middle of the movie?
In the movie, they were like on this bridge in front of the mountain when the avalanche came. And so the front of the train is right in front of the entrance of a tunnel, so they can actually get out and stand around one side of the train. And
they're not leaving.
No, they can't go anywhere. There's just the train and then that small area.
They're outside of the train.
Yeah.
But they're not going anywhere else.
So there's nowhere to go. You're in the middle of the mountains, high in the mountain pass. There's nowhere to go.
So, and I swear, there's a point. Yeah. I just ordered a Blu-ray today. Mm-hmm. You know what Blu-ray it was?
Murder on the Orient Express.
No, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
Okay.
One of my biggest problems with that movie is that It's a chase movie.
Uh-huh.
It's the First Order chasing the Resistance.
Yeah, okay.
And people leave the chase.
Yeah.
You can't leave a chase.
Okay, what is this? Are you going to tie this back in?
Because I really appreciate that this movie is a chase movie, and it achieves it as such in a confined area without anybody leaving.
Well, it's not really a chase movie because nobody's chasing anybody, and nobody's
People are trying to figure out who a murderer is, Kat. I would call that a chase.
Well, it's not a chase because they don't know who it is, and the killers are not trying to flee either. Nobody's really trying to flee the train. They're all just kind of there.
The murderer doesn't want to flee.
That's a setup in all three of the movies. So no, I won't call that a chase movie. But
anyway, I ordered The Last Jedi on Blu-ray. I thought you'd be proud of me.
Okay. Yeah. And so,
So anyway.
So yeah,
who wins?
With this movie, I was figuring it out too early. I thought there was some stunt
Which one?
casting. Murder on the Orient Express, the one we're talking about.
Okay.
So I thought there was stunt casting. I figured most of it out too early. The ending I thought was getting a bit too melodramatic for my taste, and some of the acting was a bit hammy, like hamming it up towards the end there. I'm like, okay. And when you find out the solution that they all conspired to be on this train with this guy at the same time, which is like, that's convoluted enough as it is. But the fact that the killer did, because this is like a famous case, and keep in mind this story takes place in 1934, but people are still recognizing, oh, you're Armstrong from the Armstrong case. And so the idea that the killer wouldn't have recognized, or the victim, the kidnapper, would not have recognized any of these people on the train from this major story, I didn't believe that. Like, you could tell he was worried, but he was more worried because he was a gang and he thought people were trying to con him. But how are you not recognizing all these people who were directly tied to that family and the kidnapping in this big publicized trial? It's like, I didn't buy that either.
Well, I'll tell you how.
Okay.
I'll tell you how all these plot inconsistencies happened.
Yeah.
The story is adapted from a lady author. So obviously everything that's stupid about it is because it was written by a woman.
Okay, Scott, you are so obviously on.
Well, you're asking. I'm just giving you honest answers.
That's not an honest answer. It's you being.
Well, what? You're saying that story doesn't make any sense, and I'm blaming the lady author.
No, I'm blaming the convolutedness of the story.
Which was written by a woman.
Which has no bearing on why it's convoluted.
Well, yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it does.
No, I didn't. It just felt a bit flat to me. Because again, it's being a bit too melodramatic. Some of it's hammed up a bit. You're figuring it out too early, and it's too convoluted in the solution and how. And so basically, at the end, he decides, well, none of you are true murderers, but he decides to test that theory to see if he's. Well, one neat idea that the movie has is that he wants to see if he's wrong about the notion that everybody was in on it, and so he takes his gun because he gets everybody to gather outside the train where they set up a bunch of table and chairs inside the entrance of the tunnel, and he puts the gun down on the table, saying, "There's only one murder you have left to commit because, oh, don't worry, Book will keep his silence. He can lie. I can't." And Michelle Pfeiffer, who plays the lady, the lady grandmother, she picks up the gun and points it at Poirot, and she's like, "Oh, it's me. If anybody should hang for this, it's me. It's nobody else." And then at the last second, she changes her mind and turns the gun on herself and pulls the trigger, but it was empty. So that further.
Oops, no bullets.
Yes, that further confirms for Poirot that, oh, okay, none of these people are murderers per se, which again is kind of hackneyed. It's like, well, they are, because they all conspired to come halfway around the world to kill this guy on the train, and they all took turns. Like, imagine if you're in this line of people. I get that the Johnny Depp character is evil, but imagine if you're in this, like, a literal line, hearing what's going on in the room. Oh, it's going to be my turn next, like, moving up. And yet these people, oh, we can't stand the idea of murder. Like, give me a break. I think that was too much. I couldn't buy that. And so...
Well, and that's why the original one is sort of like haunting, is that you have everyone show up and they take the knife and they fucking, each one of them plunges it into his chest. And they're like, their testimony is like intercut with their act of death. It's crazy.
Now their testimony is in like at the end of the movie once he's figured it out.
Well, yeah, it's like a montage.
Okay, yeah, but that's the thing. It's just like they're trying to paint it as they don't paint it in like in that haunting way like you're doing it or saying it. It's like they were painting it more as, oh, these people are so sad about what happened to Daisy and how horrible it was, and they're playing the dramatic music and making it feel like this really sad thing, and he's basically saying that, oh, it's a bunch of people who are really good people who are really hurt and need to heal. And so the train is finally repaired. They go on. They go on, and
one less passenger.
Yes, he gets off, and
well, no, he
gets off the train. Book stays on the train, interestingly enough, but everybody else, leaves, going on to the next destination. And when he gets off the train, he tells the police that, oh, it was, the lone assassin who snuck on, who's going after him went after the victim because of being a gangster or whatever, and some past criminal. And the police are stupid; they just accept it. And he's told, oh, are you Hercule Poirot? And he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, there's a murder in Egypt on the Nile River, no less, and we need your help. And so he takes off.
Really? Do they like?
Yes,
they tease Death on the Nile at the end of the Murder on the Orient Express.
They do, but it turns out to not be the same death. But it's so.
Oh, okay.
So the first movie.
Because there's another one. Death Under the Sun with Peter Ustinov.
Yeah, there's a couple of them like that.
Yeah. My dad is such a fucking, he's so gay. He loves Agatha Christie. He loves Hercule Poirot movies.
Yep.
He has 3 versions of Death on the Nile. He's
wow.
got the Ustinov, he's got the Branagh, and now he has the Canadian one. I forget his name.
Yeah, so.
And that's why I think my father is gay.
So I didn't feel the first one had much tension or suspense. It felt a bit
David
flat.
Niven, though. Oh,
what?
You're talking about... No, David Niven was in Death on the Nile.
Yeah, I'm talking about Murder on the Orient Express.
But
so
David Niven was James Bond.
Right, so Murder on the Orient Express, it was a bit melodramatic. Some of the performances were hammy. I didn't feel any tension or suspense. Too convoluted of a story. Too many inconsistencies. It just doesn't... And at times, it's like some of the backstory stuff are so convoluted all the time that it feels like every scene they're just relentlessly regurgitating tons of backstory plot that it's like I'm constantly making notes. And I was able to follow it. It's so much of it in such succession. I wasn't finding it as interesting anymore to investigate because we're not spending time, trying to really think this through. Because again, it's too obvious, too early what's going on. So
is it better than Clue?
I haven't seen Clue.
Fuck you. Sorry. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. I agree with
that was so rude. It was just a reflex.
I agree with superhero movies comment that it is also my least favorite of the 3.
That was really rude. You should see Clue.
Yeah. So the second film, Death on the Nile.
Yes.
Took quite a while for this one to come out because the first one was November.
How was Gal Gadot in it?
And so this next one is February 2022. She was okay. You're only seeing mostly one side of her character, even though you find out through the mystery that there's more sides to her.
Did she die? Is she the victim?
Well, before we get to that,
okay.
The film opens with a prologue set on Halloween 1914, World War I. Poirot is there in the trenches, and is
right. Did they de-age him?
It looks like they did slightly.
Okay.
And he doesn't have a mustache. He looks, a bit younger, Kenneth Branagh type of thing. So, and it's
Did you ever see Dead Again?
No.
I want him.
So anyway, it's in black and white. And so it's in black and white. And the captain basically gets an order that they have to retake this bridge. And they're all thinking it's suicidal. It's going to be dozens of casualties, but they have no choice. And Poirot says, oh, sir, why don't we just attack now within the next 8 minutes? And they all think he's crazy. And he's like, why? And he's like, look at the birds. They fly at this time every day or whatever. And he's like, the wind is in our favor. That means the gas will be blowing in the opposite direction and it will conceal our advance for the first 200 meters and we'll ambush them. And they're like, well, what if you're wrong? And it's like, well, it's either the certainty of the majority of us dying trying to take this bridge, or it's the uncertainty that most of us will live. And so they take Poirot's idea. It works. They take the bridge. The other guys who were skeptical kind of congratulate him. The captain's killed by hitting a tripwire and blowing up. The
Dummy.
explosion cuts up Poirot's face, and
Is that why he has to get the mustache? Because he's got a fucked up face?
this is the problem with that. So he's recuperating in hospital, and they have Catherine, his wife, because it's that
Who
he's
plays his wife?
I forgot, but
Okay.
she's only seen one scene in the movie. So she shows up, and he's kind of ashamed. He doesn't want her to see him, and she's like, "Oh, I don't care that your face is cut up. It's not what love is about," type of thing. And
love lift us up.
And they turn what is like a really sweet kind of tender moment between them into this stupid, "Oh, that's why he has the mustache" thing. I'm like, it was kind of going well until they turned it into that, and it's like unintentionally like too funny.
It's how Han Solo got his blaster.
Exactly. It becomes one of those moments.
But come on. You know what? It kind of I understand that criticism. I've heard it before, and I remember it when it came out. But now that there is a third movie, and now that there is a continuity and an affection to Kenneth Branagh's Poirot. And so I kind of like it that it was there. And also, I would like to say that I've only seen the first half hour. Hang on a second. We have a special guest, some guy who's handsome.
Oh, you're handsome, dude.
I
No.
had to stream. It's taking a while on my end here.
But I'm just saying, like at the beginning of the Murder of the Orient Express, he I don't know why Ben left. Why did you?
I didn't leave. You guys put me back.
I'm trying to bring him on the stream.
Why? I did it. I did it already.
You didn't say you did it.
I thought it was apparent.
It's all good. It's all good, guys.
I will uppercut your shingles.
The problem with that scene is that it's like a really sweet moment between him and his wife, and then they turn it into like a silly mustache origin story. And it's like, no, it's like leave it where it is.
Are you talking about
what happened to Ben? Where's he now?
Are you talking about Death on the Nile?
He's here. You're fine. Don't push any buttons.
I can't see or hear him anymore.
I have him 5x5.
Oh, I was asking Kat. It sounds like she's talking about Death on the Nile.
She is. We moved on to Death on the Nile.
Okay, sorry. I missed.
Well, we're gonna go back. This is a completely fucked up stream so far. A lot of technical difficulties.
But from what you were saying about the wife and stuff like that, the origin of the mustache, I assumed you were talking about Death on the Nile. So yeah.
Have you ever grown a mustache yourself?
Not a mustache. I mean, I've grown like beards, but
we haven't really jumped into Death on the Nile yet. So why don't you tell us about our thoughts on Murder on the Orient Express? I thought, because I had never read the book or seen any of the movies before, I figured it out way too early. Because the moment there were like two people tied to the kidnapping case, I'm like, okay, this is a conspiracy. Some of the acting was a bit hammy. Way too convoluted of a mystery as to how they're all on the train, that the kidnapper didn't recognize any of these people from this major publicized case when random people at the train station are even recognizing who some of these people are. And the ending was a bit kind of melodramatic. I'm usually a sucker for whodunits, but that one didn't really do it for me. I gave it like
it's so weird though, because you, like Kat, you are so much more in tune with the plot and the mystery of it, and I get taken by the production and the actors.
Yeah.
I am such a pageant, and I go with analytical.
Mix of both. I go with a little mix of both for sure.
I'm on your side. I understand exactly.
I'm a huge fan of the way Kenneth Branagh directs his actors and the way that he shoots. I think he's really great for the most part. I don't mind Dutch angles. If they have a purpose, I think they're great. And not to jump ahead, but the Dutch angles in A Haunting in Venice are amazing.
Oh yeah, no, let's skip to the end. Let's do
No. We don't have to skip. I just wanted to say,
right.
because that's the fresh one on my mind. So,
I know you guys just saw it. How's Tina Fey?
So what did you think?
We're not talking about it now.
Express?
What's that, Kat?
What did you think on Murder on the Orient Express?
I really, really liked it. We did a show on it in 2017. We had this show on Cinema Go called Tasters, where we take the original movie and the remake and we talk about them both. And at the end of the video, John liked the original Cindy Lumet one better. And I was kind of leaning a little bit more towards the Branagh one. I do understand there's a lot of CGI with the train and stuff like that, but I do love that old-fashioned filmmaking. It's hard to beat Albert Finney. Like, he's so dedicated to that role, and it was so funny and great. Like, in the first movie, in Murder on the Orient Express, you do see Kenneth Branagh trying to do that Hercule Poirot thing where he puts the mask on his eyes and then on the mustache, which is fucking great. But there's so much more of that in the 1974 one where the mustache is so important to him. But I think Murder on the Orient Express is probably my favorite of the three. But I think all three of them are really good.
I do like how much Kenneth Branagh is having. I thought it was going to be a very stiff performance. I did think
he's very funny.
Yeah, I thought that even again after the first half hour of the first movie, I just thought they were treating him like some sort of god.
Well,
and I was like, come on.
How he's written in the books, apparently. He's
I guess. That's why I blame women for bad fiction.
Well, no, he's in the Agatha Christie books, he's apparently like the most famous inspector ever, so
but and the thing is that I'm just imagining Benedict Cumberbatch the entire time.
No, man, Kenneth Branagh knocked it out of the park. I mean,
he did. He was really good.
Kat can talk about this.
A very good portrayal of that character.
He did.
Very
and Kat, if you've watched Albert Finney as him, which I'm guessing you have.
No, she hasn't.
He was so over the top and brilliant, but
my number one actor for Hercule Poirot is Peter Ustinov. Absolutely. He did too.
And because he did a lot of them.
He did Death on the Nile and Death Under the Sun, I think. I forget what it's called. But he did too. Agatha Christie's.
I wish Albert Finney had done another one. Because it's so good. But
yeah.
Yeah, so
if he had done Death on the Nile, that would have been dope.
But to answer Kat's question, I think I hate to say it because Sidney Lumet is amazing, but I really like the 2017 one. I really do. I like Johnny Depp's performance. I like Kenneth Branagh's introduction to the character. I think the camera work is great, even though
the eggs.
Well, there's a lot of CGI in the first one because of the train and stuff not nearly as much as Death on the Nile, because that one had to be shot. Death on the Nile had to be shot in the volume. So.
There is CGI with the train, but it isn't anywhere near as bad as the CG in Death on the Nile.
No, well, that movie unfortunately had to be completely shot in the volume.
Yeah.
You were shot in a volume.
So.
No, I agree with you. And who's the guy? Josh Gad?
I love Josh Gad.
I usually find him kind of frustrating, but I really liked him in that movie.
I like him I like Josh Gad.
And Daisy Ridley, somebody who were can she do anything other than Ray? Yes, she can. She was good, in this movie.
She was actually, I found, me and superhero movies agree. She's pretty.
And I wish Willem Dafoe was in more of it because his scene or two is so.
I thought he was the best actor after.
He's so good.
Branagh in the movie.
He's so good. He's so good.
Well,
he's just not in it enough. Yeah.
And watching it, do you guys think that it was you are watching these people act, and you understand that it's pageantry? Do you think of it as? Oh, I'm seeing Daisy Ridley and Willem Dafoe and M.
Yeah, I kind of felt that with some of it.
Maybe with Daisy Ridley a little bit.
I think with everyone. Even fucking Branagh. He's got a ridiculous mustache.
No, he was he was the character, man.
There were a couple people I didn't even recognize and know from anywhere.
I thought I saw Oscar Isaacs at one moment, and I was like, no.
No, he's not in it.
No.
I don't think so. No. No, he wasn't. I thought Derek Jacobi was fine in it too. He's okay. I like that he's not going to even entertain Poirot's bullshit. It's no, you don't need to do that divine thing with me. I'll tell you how I'm connected to the case. It's like that.
The fun thing about these movies is they usually pick a very well-known actor to be the person that's the victim. You know, and in this newest one, they surprised me because even though Michelle Yeoh is coming off like an spoilers, I'm like, is this a spoiler thing or no?
We haven't gotten
What? That she won an Oscar or that she died?
Well, she won an Oscar, but
We'll get to that when we get there.
Did she die?
I apologize. You know,
I don't know.
I'm just
I
saying,
don't
like
know.
you have like kind of the front.
So does Michelle Yeoh die or not?
We'll get to that when we.
Scotty, forget I said that. I apologize.
Just tell me.
But like you have,
I'm not a child.
You have Johnny Depp, and then you have like Gal Gadot, and it's like, okay, so like
Michelle Yeoh dies. Great, good news.
God damn it!
You guys are live, aren't you? I don't care.
We'll get to that when we get there, Scott.
Great.
My bad.
Well, the second movie, Death on the Nile, has 3 murder victims.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Yes.
Well, they all have more than one, but the initial one is the one, you know, that sets things in motion.
Well, Murder on the Orient Express only had 1.
Only has the Johnny Depp. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
but it's also, but that's a group of people getting together to formulate justice.
Right. So this was Death on the Nile.
Which
it's
is
like
insane. Which is insane.
Again, it's a Death on the Nile is again a movie where I thought there were also a lot of hammy performances, a bit more melodramatic. I thought the mystery was much better executed, by the way, which is what.
I haven't seen it. They do it well.
Yeah, because the mystery, I actually had to take a lot of time actually trying to figure this one out because they drop little hints here and there, and much like Murder on the Orient Express, everybody has a potential motive, but in this case, the motive is different for everybody, so that gives it a lot more. It's a lot more
conflicting motives.
Right, and it's not until over an hour into the movie that the murder happens, and so
who dies?
You just got the Gal Gadot characters. So the plot is that she and Armie Hammer
are pretty.
She and Armie Hammer play newlyweds. They're on her honeymoon on the Nile, and I can't remember the Emma Mackey who plays.
Kat, can I stop you for a second?
Why?
Ridiculousness.
What?
So I recently had dental surgery.
And what's the relevance?
Well, let me tell you. The dental, the assistant surgeon, it was dental surgery. So the assistant surgeon looked exactly like Gal Gadot. Is it Gadot or Gadot? Gadot. G'day?
Stop being distracted. Get to the point.
But the point is, I met a lady who looks like Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So anyway, there's a lady that looks like Wonder Woman in Death on the Nile.
Okay.
And she dies, right?
As I was saying.
Yes.
She and Armie Hammer.
See, I brought it back. Come on. It was clumsy, but I brought it back.
It was very clumsy. Yeah.
Shut up. I had fun talking about the hot lady I saw.
So, Armie Hammer and Gal Gadot play newlyweds. They're on their honeymoon. Emmy Mackey plays the ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance of Armie Hammer character who's following them around. And
when does Benoit Blanc show up?
They all take this boat ride, and Poirot has been sort of quasi-recruited by the newlyweds to look out for them. And he's like, look, there's no crime if she's following you. It's weird, yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. And you just kind of have to pay attention for the first hour to everybody's little details of why they're there and whatnot to figure out, okay, this might be important, this might be important. But it did take a while to get into it. It wasn't really until the murder happens that then it's like, okay, here we go. Now we're kind of taking off because they're all trapped in a boat. They can't go anywhere. And other people start getting murdered along the way as the killer is trying to cover their tracks. Yeah. But when the reveal comes as to who did it and what the motive was.
So who did it in Death on the Nile?
I think Death on the Nile is the fastest paced of the 3. Would you agree, Kat? It's once stuff happens, it kind of moves quickly. I mean, I think the shortest one is Venice, but as far as like the way it's paced and stuff like that, like Murder on the Orient Express takes a little bit of time to kind of kick in. Or do you disagree? I mean,
you cut out there for a second. What'd you say?
Oh, I cut out? Oh shit.
On my end, yeah.
I heard you.
No, I was just saying, like, I think that like Death on the Nile is the one that kind of moves forward a lot really fast once the deaths start happening, where the other 2 are a little bit slower on that stuff. So Death on the Nile has like a faster pace once once your murder victim starts to hit.
Yeah, because the second half of it, the first half is a little slow. The second half kind of starts taking off because then you have, so the first murder is the wife. The second murder is the blackmailer, the housemaid, because she found out because she saw the murderer committing the crime and then tried to blackmail him to get the money.
Wow.
And then the third is Book, his friend, gets shot because he was about to reveal who the killer was. And you find out that the solution is that the husband is still in love with the fiance. He only got married to this chick so he could basically kill her and take her money and then move back with the ex-fiance because they were still in love. And the way he got away with it is he had her shoot him with a blank in the leg.
Yeah.
Paint, and he stole.
You know what? Tell that to Bruce Lee.
Yeah, and he stole the paint from Book's mother's.
Don't
fake blood on his the fake blood on his knees until the other people left. Then he ran off down the hall to kill his wife, shot himself for real at that point, and then his ex ends up taking care of the other two murders as necessary.
Right.
But it's kind of interesting because I thought it was a little weird that the ex is even there, and why, like, what are you trying to get out of this if you're not in on it, or if you and one of them are in on it? It's like, and Poirot is just not too suspicious about this at first either. But I thought the mystery was much better handled, especially when you have the red herring of the cousin who pushed the boulder down.
Is this Death on the Nile that you're talking about right now?
Yeah. I actually do like Death. I actually do like the script for Death on the Nile a little bit better than Orient Express, as far as like what Kat is talking about. It's a little tighter, but how funny is it, Kat, that I guess it's not funny, but the fact that Armie Hammer is in that movie,
Cannibal,
and he's like a crazy person.
But superhero, I just do want to shout out superhero movies and ask you guys to sort of reflect on it. Superhero movie says Death on the Nile #1, Haunting in Venice #2, or Murder on the Orient Express being the worst.
That's fine. I don't think
is that a good assessment?
He's just saying his least.
Well, he's ranking them. It's like gold.
No, that's great.
Medal,
that's great. Like
gold, silver, bronze.
I like all three of them, so I don't even really at this moment know.
I like. Yeah, but you have a favorite of the Star Wars trilogy. I'm not saying that
No, I think these three.
It's
movies,
not Sophie's choice.
I think these three movies are just so well made, and they're made in a type of filmmaking that you don't see a lot.
That's what I want. I want the Hercule Poirot fuck, marry, kill.
It felt like a throwback, but it was also the second one was also very cheesy at certain points.
It was, and you can see the volume in it too. Like you can see the CGI everywhere. Yeah,
I hate the volume.
But it's kind of like when he mentions finally in the second one what happened to his wife, that he coaxed her and coming back.
Did they ever show his wife?
No.
Like I said, they did in the prologue. Yes, they did.
But in the third one, Tina Fey's character does mention her, though. Yeah.
How is Tina Fey?
As I mentioned, they showed her in the prologue of Death on the Nile.
And it was played by Elizabeth Hurley? What?
She goes to see him in the hospital. And so
Sigourney Weaver?
He asked her to come back to see her at Christmas, and she got a workshop.
Janine Garofalo?
And you say Ernesto's bad, and you're doing this shit again. It's like, okay.
I know, I'm annoying, but you knew that. We've been friends forever.
All right, so, God, where the fuck was I?
I don't know. Pay attention, 007.
Stop derailing the conversation.
I think the reason I like this new one so much because it feels smaller than the other ones, right, Kat? It's smaller because it takes place in a house, essentially. But it still has room to be like one of the most gorgeous looking movies out of all of them, especially when this like thunderstorm is going on in Venice, and it's like you see the outside shots, but it's all just cutaways, and then like everything else is so fucking intimate. Where I feel like I really like Death on the Nile. I think it's fantastic for what they did by shooting in the volume, but there's so much of it that's just glowing because of the CGI. It just looks really bright. It's too bright, you know.
It looks really pasty and fake.
Yes, it does. It does. But
I
I
don't
think
know why, because
great.
I don't think the volume's the problem though, because the volume looked excellent on The Mandalorian, and it looked horrible.
that's different though, because that's a science fiction. When you're doing a reality,
But no, it didn't have anything to do with it because it still looked real.
okay,
Like,
yeah,
the volume
okay.
on that still looked like photo real. Like this didn't look photo real. This looked, again, like you said, it's way too bright and pasty. It just didn't.
It was way too bright. Yeah.
Like something about it was just really like they used the volume. I know also in the Batman where the bat signal is, so everything you see, the cityscape
Really?
around it is all the volume, but that looks real. Something about this one just didn't. A lot of the settings just didn't look real, and I'm not sure why. But it is what it is. And then the killer, when they're outed, they commit suicide together, like star-crossed lovers.
Yeah.
Hemlock.
And you're right.
And if you don't read Agatha Christie, you don't know what's going to happen. So yeah.
I can't read.
Yeah, it's true. And so then you're right. The second half does pick up the pace quite a bit. So that's
I think the second half's really, really fast. Yeah.
I also gave Death on the Nile 3 out of 5. Even I
Same as The Godfather.
I was more intrigued by it than the first one. I was more interested and invested in it. A Haunting in Venice, I would say, is the best of the 3.
Oh, nice. I liked it. Yeah.
I like that it doesn't feel melodramatic. The performances aren't hammed up at all.
No, it's very different. It's very different.
Who's in it?
Leans into horror more. It's not convoluted.
But who? What's the cast?
Well, the
like,
funny
I
thing
only
is
know
it doesn't have a lot of big name stars. Like it has your Tina
it's got
Fey.
Tina Fey.
No, it has Tina Fey. Has like Jamie Dornan.
Michelle Yeoh.
He's a big star.
Jamie Dornan, heavens.
But then it has but obviously Michelle Yeoh. But
Do I have to see like the 50 Shades movies?
No, dude. But you asked me a question. I'm trying to answer.
Okay.
So then the other the mother of the child who the whole movie's about. I don't know her name, but she's in Yellowstone.
Kelly Riley.
Yeah.
She's been in a lot.
It's not as big of a cast as far as like A-listers as the other two, and I liked that about it. I really liked that about it because you don't know what's going to happen, who's going to get snapped.
Yeah, because they don't stand out as much. And
exactly.
Actors.
Yeah.
I'm
happy to hear that that's your favorite cat because I liked it a lot. I did.
It leans into the horror aspects a lot more.
Yes.
It's also a confined movie because once the murder happens, Poirot is the one who makes the decision to lock everybody inside because he's like, nope.
Yeah. Is there a big key?
There
Does he have a big metal key?
There is a key. There's a couple of keys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's a couple of keys, Scotty. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that with this movie, they're saying that he's basically been retired in Venice and people keep bugging him to solve their cases, but he doesn't want to do it. So he's hired this ex-cop as his bodyguard to keep everybody away from him, just so he can tend to his little garden on the river. And he meets the Tina Fey character, plays this like popular author who's had 3 flops in a row.
Apparently they've known each other forever because she's writing her books off of his character.
Yeah,
she's a Mary Sue for Agatha Christie.
No, but we haven't heard that from the other 2 movies, but that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, so she's here, and she's like, "Oh, Poirot, you should come with me to a Halloween party tonight and a seance afterwards." And she says she's like a skeptic and thinks that all of the mediums are just fakes and con artists. But she's like, there's this one, the last woman ever convicted under the Witchcraft Act of 1735 who's been released, and she's the real deal, who's the Michelle Yeoh character. And Poirot, and the characters throughout the movie keep telling him to have fun and that you should kind of, get back into being something. And so he kind of concedes, he's like, okay, I'll go. And they introduce a really macabre mystery at the Halloween party.
Yeah.
Where the kids are brought in to watch a shadow puppet show where they're talking about
which is awesome, by the way.
Awesomely, very well done.
So cool.
Nice.
The legend
is it directed? Is this movie directed by Kenneth Branagh?
Yes, he directed all 3 of them.
Fucking A.
And it's shot by the same cinematographer, all 3 of them as well. Harris kind of say as well. And the legend is that this house that they're in used to be, during the plague, it was serving as like a makeshift hospital, a children's hospital. And the doctors and nurses locked all the children in the basement and left them there to die to prevent an epidemic throughout the city. And that the children, the spirits of the children,
throughout the entire movie, pretty much, yeah.
And that the spirits of the children still haunt the house and will kill any doctors and nurses who come back and type of thing. And Poirot's like, it's going to scare the kids. And the author's like, no, the kids love it. Scary stuff, scary stories teach them to not be as afraid in the real world. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And they go bobbing for apples, and they do fun stuff like that. And then afterwards, they go to the seance, and it's hilarious because Poirot only has like patience for barely 2 minutes into the seance before he calls bullshit.
Yeah, he's immediately getting his detective thing right away.
Oh, nice.
So basically, the scam is that she's pretending to communicate with the spirit of the. All right, because the mystery is that the lady who's currently living at the house, her daughter died the previous year from suicide by jumping off the balcony and drowning in the water.
From what I understand, suicide is painless. It brings on many changes.
Well, and what happened to all their money? That's a big question.
That's another question too, because they were apparently rich, and they're not rich anymore. And so at the seance, the lady, the Michelle Yeoh character, the medium, she has a typewriter, and the typewriter is automatic. She's asking like yes or no questions, and if the answer is yes, the typewriter will automatically type the letter Y, or if were you murdered instead of suicide, and the M pops up indicating it was murder. And Poirot eventually, again, he calls bullshit, and he pulls this guy out of who's hiding in the chimney stack in the room, and
pulling on the keys.
He's got a radio magnet.
You're really thrown off by that.
What an asshole!
You're really thrown off by that.
And he's got like a radio magnet on his person that he was using to manipulate the typewriter from the chimney. And so,
radio
like,
magnet.
this is all bull. And Poirot's like, "Oh, this is stupid. This isn't real. I'm done with this." He wants to leave, and the medium comes to talk to him, trying to sell her con, basically. And she's like, "Oh, come on, Mr. Poirot. You might actually have a little bit of fun." And she puts her mask and cloak on Poirot for fun. And it kind of looks like a no mask, kind of like a female version of a no mask or a mime mask. And Poirot is having fun with it. And so he goes over to bob for apples. He lifts the mask, and as he's bobbing for apples, someone comes up behind him and tries to drown him in the tub of water.
Makes sense. I'd do that.
Well,
he's
having this moment of clarity when he's like, maybe I should just have fun. So he puts his face in the water and starts bobbing for apples, even though no one's watching. You know, like, it's great. It's great.
Yeah. And so before they can renew the seance, somebody kills, spoiler alert, Michelle Yeoh, the medium. She gets chucked out of a window, gets impaled on a statue outside the front of the building. And that's when Poirot is like, okay, we're not doing this again. So he has the whole place locked down. His bodyguard, he finds out, the ex-cop.
This is still in Venice, like everyone's haunted.
Yeah, everything's in a house in Venice. Yeah, the whole city is getting.
I'm so enthralled. This sounds fantastic.
Kat, before you go further, Kat, can I just say that Michelle Yeoh's monologue to Hercule Poirot is unbelievably awesome.
How is it?
She is so good in that moment. She gets that moment to just, because it's basically like breaking down barriers.
What did she say?
Well, I'm not gonna. Well, I
don't quote it. Don't spoil. But like, what is the purpose of her?
Her whole thing with him is like, so you're here to debunk me because you think I'm fake,
right?
But let me tell you about what I've seen and what I know. And it goes so deep, and like she's just so good in that moment. Like, you definitely don't think she's going to be the one that gets killed. At least I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah, they prominently marketed her character too.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. I am not like, I know that everyone loves Michelle Yeoh. I am a fan of Michelle Yeoh, but I don't think I love Michelle Yeoh as much as
who cares about that? I mean, we're just talking about.
No, I'm just saying
we're just talking about her character in this movie, Scotty.
Absolutely, I'm not disparaging. I'm just saying that I know that there are people who are bigger fans of Michelle Yeoh than I am, but she's still a great actress.
She was her monologue in this movie was awesome.
She has the gravitas.
Yeah. Anyway, Kat, continue. Sorry, I just wanted to bring.
Yeah.
So he decides that he's not going to do this shit again. So he locks the whole house down. Finds out that everybody at the seance has some connection to the victim from a year before. Like they're
why everyone stays there because he locked it down is anyone's guess. But
yeah.
Does anyone use a gun in Agatha
He's not
Christie?
A police officer.
Well, no. What it is that allegedly they call the guy calls the police. And he says the police are on their way over and they'll be here any minute. The problem is there's a big storm that night and they can't. And they keep cutting to the cops trying to get up to the house, but they're both
It was a dark and stormy night.
Oh, dude, wait till you watch this movie. The way they do the storm in Venice.
It's excellent.
How's it
Because Venice is already a place on water. So, like, the way they
True.
do it, it's so cool.
Bunch of gondolas crashing against the
I also like
Exactly.
that there was limited CGI in this one compared to the other two.
No, that's another thing I was gonna say is this one just it's so practical and intimate. All the shots are just in the house. Yeah, but anyway,
You're practical and intimate.
keep going, Kat. Sorry.
Yeah, so as usual, you find out that everybody at the seance has some connection to the victim, and they're trying to figure out, was it a murder, was it a suicide, maybe not, and he's
Gal
trying to
Gadot?
figure out who's drifting who and what's really going on here. And so to me, that kept the mystery was like really rife, because on the one hand, we have to solve the current murder mystery of the medium who got chucked out the window, and we have to solve the mystery of what happened to the girl who supposedly threw herself off the balcony a year before. And because everybody's just stuck in this, it's not a tiny house; it's a big multi-level.
No, it's a huge place. It's huge. Yeah. It's huge.
And it has secret passages. And he immediately decides that, I guess, spoiler alert, if you don't care about spoilers, but he figures out that
They're books.
The Tina Fey character couldn't have done it because of X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, nah, there's something going on here.
See, that's the greatest part about this movie is there's two reveals. And Kat knows what I'm talking about. There's a reveal about what was really going on with Tina Fey's character, which doesn't have.
Oh, did she end up being evil?
No. Well, hold on. Let me finish.
Okay.
I'm going to let Kat finish. But like, how cool was that? Because when you find out that reveal, you're like, now I really don't know who is at fault as far as a murder. Because
like, I really wanted.
Well,
I want to change.
Character has a completely different reveal in this movie.
Well,
I want to change the title of this video to "Spoilers for Agatha Christie."
No, she's got ulterior. I shouldn't have cut Kat off, but I was so excited. I love that. I love that reveal from.
And this is the only one
Agatha Christie.
Title for it. Well,
all right.
We'll rename it. Written by a woman.
Yeah, the title of the book is Halloween Party.
Yeah, totes.
Haunting in Venice is a much better title. But
it is.
So he's investigating, and they're trying to figure out what they found out that two of the people who were working at the house, these two Romani siblings who fled their country during World War II, have been grifting the family for a while. And they're like, well, we're not murderers. We're just trying to make some money or whatever. You find out that Poirot's bodyguard, the ex-cop, retired the day after the girl died a year earlier. He was the one who pulled her body from the sea, and that she had the part of the legend of the dead children, of the plague children, is that the ghosts will come back and kill anybody and, scratch their back with like this claw mark. And since the girl from a year earlier had that, it's like, ooh, ghosts or whatever. And Poirot's like, yeah, bullshit. He doesn't want to believe any of that crap. And so
he catches.
Kat, I wish you were the constable in my local.
Hercule Poirot catches on immediately to this entire thing.
He is brilliant.
I mean, he's
better than House.
When he pulls the guy out of the fireplace, and I love that they make mention of like, well, it's not that she's not real. It's just we wanted to give it some sort of sense that people could see it, So it's not that she was fake. They were just trying to showcase, what she was doing. So that scene is really cool, and I love that couple that's there that she like saved or whatever. Like they don't have a big part of the story, but like, yeah, they're great. They're great.
See, that's the thing that I like about it, because they cast basically unknowns to play those two roles, and it's kind of, are they involved or are they not? They don't put too much attention on it, because there's no real red herring per se in this movie, because there's like each theory gets an equivalent amount of time in the movie to focus on it, and that's why we have 3 big reveals in this movie, and so like I like that there's the same kid from Belfast plays the son of the doctor, and how is David Suchet is probably the best.
We haven't even talked about that kid. How great is he in this movie? Holy shit.
It's great.
He's one of the best characters, and like I love that he's taking care of his dad who has PTSD, and that was Jamie Dornan, right? The dad. Yeah.
What were we talking about? About what?
So the Jamie Dornan character is a doctor with PTSD. His son is played by
fantastic, man.
Are you guys still talking about Agatha Christie movies?
Okay, stop. So that was the What the fuck was it?
I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a break. I am absolutely. I'm enthralled. I thought that the Kenneth Branagh, the casting of Murder on the Orient Express, and what I saw of it is engaging. Like, I want to see more of it. I thought I was going to be put off by Kenneth Branagh as
No,
Hercule Poirot. He does. He
does it.
embodies. He's
He does it.
charming.
He does it differently. He plays it a little bit more straight laced, a little bit more serious. and
I
less
think he's
quirky.
more whimsical.
No, he's great, but like he plays it less quirky, which is good for these movies. You know,
Well,
like,
but like and you've seen the Albert Finney.
well, that's
like,
what I'm
I
talking about.
think-
He goes the full 9.
I think he's more 90-degree angles. Like,
well,
I think he's more
insanely
stern.
crazy in that movie.
Yeah. But I think that like, and I don't know about this guy. I've seen him. This guy is a rerun on public television to me. David Suchet. He is another Poirot. I know people like him. He's hashtag not my Poirot. I like Peter Ustinov. I like Kenneth Branagh, and I like Albert Finney. But I like Albert Finney.
I think the conversation between Kenneth Branagh and Johnny Depp in Orient Express is like masterful. It's so good because if you know, I mean, everybody, most people know that story, so they know that he's the one that's going to die. You know, Johnny Depp, because of who his character is. The other stories are not as well known. Murder on the Orient Express is
Who
like
played
everybody
him?
knows what that is. You know,
Who played that character in the original though?
oh man, we did a whole.
He
show
was a
on
big
it.
guy. He was
Yeah,
a big
he was.
guy.
He was. We did a whole show on it. I'm just
I
fucking
forget
blanking
his
on it right now.
name. I can find it. I have a computer in front of me.
Well, I kind of like that they didn't do too much stunt casting in this third one.
No, this one had no stunt casting. Maybe
Nice.
Michelle Yeoh, maybe, but that's about it.
Well, Tina Fey.
Well, no, she wasn't stunt
I
casting.
didn't feel like stunt casting. She was very well cast for the
Yeah,
character.
she was just a good.
I think she's amazing. I think that Tina Fey is one of my favorite.
She was great in this. I liked her a lot.
If you would like to see my favorite performance of Tina Fey, just look at the last top 10 list of the Late Show with David Letterman. That is my favorite Tina Fey performance.
I like Tina Fey. Yeah.
She is married.
Kat, do you think they should do a fourth one, right? I mean, why stop? It doesn't have to be a trilogy because it's so.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to stop, but
It's episodic and they don't cost that much to make, you know, so why not just keep doing it?
yeah, but the horror vibes are really good in this one. The mystery is really good. You got 3 big reveals in it, which all.
Well, are you guys?
As they're going through the reveal, at first one, I'm thinking, well, this doesn't really work. Well, then the second one, it's like, oh, okay, that works a little bit, but still something. And then you get the third one, like, okay, now it all kind of makes sense when you stack it all together.
Well, and the great thing about this one, Kat, is like, even though it was like advertised as like a horror movie, it's so ambiguous because you just see those things that Hercule Poirot sees. And I believe that he sees them. And I love that his arc at the beginning was like, I don't believe in any of this shit. And by the end, he's like, well, somebody asked him, did you see something? He's like, you know, because he sees the daughter, you know? So as much as the marketing makes you feel like this actually is like a horror movie, it plays out like one, but then by the end, you're just like, you're left thinking like, well, who is this? Who is it like haunting? And it was,
well, did she deserve to die?
Well, no, it was haunting Hercule Poirot, and that helped him solve the case. You know, in my opinion.
all right.
So you could take.
I've never read it, and I've never.
Well,
seen
no, but
it,
you
so
could.
I
Well, I
can't
haven't
really
read it either,
comment on
but
it.
you can take it any way you want. Like, did him getting sort of like mentally haunted help him solve the case, or do you just do it? It's wonderful. Plus,
Someone's saying in the
plus this movie's just like glossy and beautiful to look at.
You're
Some of
glossy
the
and
Cat,
beautiful to
some of
look
the
at.
bet you gotta say, Cat. I'm not talking about Dutch angles, but just some of the best shots.
Oh yeah, this is the best looking one of the 3.
Oh my
The
god, there's
photography was
so many
great.
cool shots in this movie, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Were you gonna say something, Scotty?
I was gonna say, I was actually gonna ask you guys about the other Hercule, like the other Agatha Christie Hercule Poirot movies that you've read or you're aware of. Like this is kind of like an Ian Fleming situation where you have a character and you have a director and cinematographer that work well together. They cast good movies. Like you're saying, all three of these are good. And even the one, like if you're ranking them, you're saying even the one I like the least, it's still a good movie.
Yeah, they're all three of them are good. Yeah.
So there's so many Poirot. Would you like to see more Poirot directed by Kenneth Branagh? If
I
he
would.
goes,
I would. Yeah. And why stop? I was just saying to Kat, like they don't cost that much money to make, so it's like, why not just keep making it? You know,
like I think these are great.
Like all three
I
of
haven't
us,
seen
here,
any of them.
all three of us here right now have talked about on one show or another how much we love old-fashioned filmmaking.
I love that.
Especially the third one. It's all old-fashioned film. It's like, how can you make the camera work to express and emote a scene, as opposed to something like, you know, like a green screen or CGI or something like that. This movie didn't need that. This movie just had like these wonderful optical effects, but none of that was really that important to the story. So I think if you can continue to like use the screenplay as a way to like get people interested, because the screenplay is where it starts, and that's the most important part.
Yeah, but you know that one
sucks, you know, then
you know the downside of the whole situation.
Well, of course, but if you have a good,
it was written by a woman, so it's obviously.
Oh, is that right? I didn't. Well, oh, you mean
no, Agatha Christie,
novel
chick. Yeah.
Well,
Miss Marple.
You're sexist. You're sexist.
I am. Fuck her. I would. Dead. Anyway, do you have anything else to say about?
Like,
No, she's used to trying to not pay attention to me. Do we? Are we? How long are we going to go on about this? We good? Are we going?
Are there more comments in the chat?
I'm sure there are, but we're everything without the chat.
We're what?
Everything without the chat. In the chat, Cinematic Universe said, "Drop a link."
Oh, that's Ernesto. He saw all three of these too.
He's welcome. I suppose.
Let me find. Let me pull. Okay, I gotta pull up. Wait just a second.
How many Houston-offs has he been in?
I don't know, but let me see here. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. Because I just opened a new tab, and sometimes that doesn't work.
Fair enough. I appreciate the technical.
Did you want to know what the three reveals are in the movie, Scotty? Or are you going to watch the movie instead?
Yeah, but it's like I don't care about spoilers. I think that it is in the context of the film and the presentation of the storytelling. So I am not in any way dissuaded. Yes, please tell me.
And the first reveal is that the Tina Fey character, the friend, the author, the ex-cop, and the medium Michelle Yeoh are all trying to pull off this con to basically set up this, seance mystery thing to stump Poirot, to be the basis of the Tina Fey character's next novel. And she was going to basically bank on the idea that, hey, I'm smarter than Poirot, and that was going to make her a lot of money, and she was going to share some of the proceeds from the impending book sales with the medium and the cop. And but they didn't plan on murdering anybody. They didn't kill anybody, and they weren't a part of that. And so that's the first reveal. The second reveal is that the mother actually killed the daughter a year before. And
who's the mom? Who's the mom?
Oh, Kelly Riley.
Who's the daughter?
Nobody that I know of.
Just dead. Just dead.
She's just dead. And the reason she killed the daughter was because the daughter had been in love with one of the guys at the house is the daughter's like ex-fiance. And the mother was very needy and clingy, and she didn't like the idea that if the daughter marries this guy, she'll leave and be alone. And so what the mother did was she did not fatally poison the daughter, but she poisoned her enough to keep her sick long enough, hoping that the guy would just go away, thinking it's chronic.
I was thinking Sixth Sense. I don't know about you, Kat, but I was thinking the Sixth Sense when the daughter or when the mother's putting the poison.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a decision to kill somebody, just do it. Don't
But
drag it on.
how great, Kat, do they introduce the boyfriend, or was he a fiance or whatever? They introduce him as such a piece of shit, and you're like, okay, this is some guy to look after, and by the end, you're like, he's a good guy, you know?
Yeah, but the thing is, Scotty, is that the mom wasn't trying to kill the daughter. She was just trying to, keep her sick long enough for the guy to leave. But then one night,
Get rid of the guy, not kill the girl.
But then one night, the housekeeper says, "Oh,
which is just as bad.
Just kill the guy."
The housekeeper's like, "Just take the night off. You're too tired." So the mom's like, "Okay." So the mom goes to bed, and the housekeeper tends to the girl, but the girl wakes up kind of sick again, and the housekeeper, not knowing about the poison scheme, ends up giving her more poison because it's in the tea, and she doesn't know that, and the girl overdosed and died of cardiac arrest. And
Super
so the mother,
sad, very sad, very sad.
And so the mother, wanting to cover up the crime of having poisoned her daughter, fakes the suicide thing, banking on the lore of the house and the superstitions of the local populace to think that it was the ghost drug.
She does it so She does it so willingly as a mother, though. Like she's so.
That's what's really dark
her
about
own
it.
skin, where you're like, how much did she really care about her daughter?
Exactly. Because the allegation is that she like he points to her at the end is like Poirot accuses her of. It's like, it's not so much you loved your daughter, you just couldn't stand the thought of being alone because you had nobody else.
You know what? This is part of the reason that I get frustrated with you, Catherine.
Yeah.
Is that you will not even you won't shut up for the chat. I know you won't shut up for the chat. You won't even shut up for Ernesto arriving on the panel.
I can't see him on the panel. I'm having technical difficulties.
You can't see. It's on the screen.
I am having technical difficulties. I have not even been able to literally see Ben for half
Scotty,
the show.
Scotty.
So you just drone on?
Scotty, Kat.
I told you I can't fucking see them.
Scotty, Kat, and
Ernesto is here.
Scotty, Kat, and I, who have actually seen this movie, are having a conversation about it. Who gives a shit?
I was just trying to introduce. I was just trying to invite.
I can't.
Oh, is that all you were trying to do? You weren't trying to stir up trouble.
Scotty.
No, I was trying to stir up trouble.
That's why I was asking you about the chat, because I can't see the chat. My computer's on the.
Neither can I. I can't see it.
Scotty.
Yes, sir.
He's here.
You should know by now that I require no introduction.
I will uppercut your nuts.
So
that's the reason why I'm your best buddy.
So another dark thing is that one of the other murders that happens in the house during the night that they're all cooped up there is the father with the PTSD, the doctor, who had been tending to the girl before she died a year earlier, and he was in a room that's mostly soundproof, resting, because he's like he had an episode earlier because of all sorts of. Is
this haunting in Venice?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the mother. Basically opens like a secret slot, so looks through the door and picks up a phone and calls him and says, "I need you to kill yourself," because he's figured out what's going on, or she thinks he's the one that he's figured out that she's the culprit, and he says, "Kill yourself, or I will kill your son who's sitting next to me in this another room in the house." And so he does. He kills himself. And
yeah, which is
spoilers.
Dude, that knife to the back was gnarly, dude. That was fucking gnarly.
So that's how we find out that the reason the family doesn't have money anymore is because somebody found out what she did and has been blackmailing them to give them money to keep their silence. And she thought it was the doctor who tended to the girl, and she thought the medium had done it. And so the reveal is that the mother is also the one who killed the medium, because she thought the medium was blackmailing her for money, and then killed the doctor later on because she thought they were in it together.
Yeah, because she didn't bring the medium in. It was fucking Tina Fey that brought
it was Tina Fey who brought him in, but she mistakenly thought that because the medium wants to present herself as being, a medium, she hints.
Well, that was the other twist we didn't talk about. Was like when you find out that Tina Fey kind of fucking did this whole thing to get Hercule Poirot there and like debunk this thing, and like he felt really shitty, like he felt
Hercules.
Right,
Hercules.
Right. The thing is that for the medium to try and play the con, she had the hint that she knew, it wasn't suicide, it was murder, blah, blah, blah. Well, she was just talking out of her ass. She didn't know she was correct. And that's why the mother kills the medium, because she thinks, if you know this, that must mean you're the one blackmailing me for my money. And so she and then she
Can I ask you, Kat? I kind of saw that coming a mile away with the mother. Did you see that coming? Like, I thought not exactly how everything played out, but I thought the mother might be
Yeah, because they
early
didn't
on.
spend much time on her, and I was wondering why. And so
And she
I
was
like
always
to see
sad
a
and
lot of
crying. I was like, I kind of see through this. I see this.
the third reveal is that it wasn't the doctor or the medium who were blackmailing her for money. It was the doctor's young son, because the doctor's PTSD was so bad. He wasn't working. They weren't making money.
I
And
love that too. The son was so smart.
he's seen the father's notes. He looked over the father's notes from when he took care of this girl a year earlier, and he could see what the poison was. He figured it out because it was like, oh, this is what was going on. And so to test his theory, he sent a blackmail note to the mom to see if he was right. And then when money showed up in exchange, he's like, oh, I must be right.
And you feel so bad for Jamie Dornan's character, the doctor, because he has to kill himself just to save his son, and he doesn't even know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, he has no idea what it's about or why.
Because he wasn't the blackmailer. It's so sad.
And the kid feels so bad about it too.
Every time they go back to the son, it's like, does he really feel sad? I don't know. Like, because I love that son character.
And the reason Poirot keeps having these horrifying visions throughout the movie is that the mother drugged him with hallucinogenic in his tea. Each time she gives him tea throughout the night, she's been drugging him to keep him off his rocker.
No way.
Yeah, and that's
really do they use the hallucinogenic fucking trope as why he thinks it's haunted?
Not entirely, because
really?
No, not entirely, because
written by women.
The fact that then, like he said about how Poirot was kind of haunted by the own things in his past and by the story of what happened to the kid.
You know how you see ghosts?
It's because all those things are on his mind.
I guess
that when he gets he starts seeing these things, and that contributed to the horror element of the movie. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
so
but
science a lot more to solve the case.
In my opinion, drugs add whimsy, not terror.
And the mother eventually falls to her death off the balcony. It's implied that a ghost might have had something to do with it, and she drowned in the water.
Cruella?
Well, because they're standing on the edge of the balcony, and Poirot's confronting her, and he sees a vision of the dead daughter floating in the air, and she reaches out her hand and kind of touches the mom on the shoulder, and the mom kind of turns around and freaks out and then falls and dies. And it's like, well, if Poirot's just hallucinating this, then how did that happen? Like, who grabbed her by the like, what happened?
Right. It gives you a little bit of it gives you some ambiguity as to like the haunting stuff. Yeah.
And the funny,
I think that's cheap. I don't think
you haven't.
I think chalking up haunting to drugs is cheap.
You haven't seen the way the movie plays out.
Well, because
I haven't seen the movie.
I'm saying, dude.
And then when he gets back to his, he says goodbye to Tina Fey's character, and she's like, "I'm not going to apologize." And he doesn't really. She's like, "You should be thanking me. I'm the one who made you famous for writing all these books, basically about you."
It's funny because he's the one that made her famous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't throw that back. Like at one point when they're interviewing the housekeeper, and because both Poirot and the author are tag teaming him, the housekeeper's like, "Oh, Poirot, you based your shtick on her character in the book?" It's like, no, but he doesn't correct her on it. And so it is.
Tina Fey was great, though. She was.
Yeah, I like the story was more really heartfelt. It was sad. It was a good horror story. And when he gets back to his house at the end on the river in Venice, he's changed his mind and decided to take it.
Yeah, he goes back. Yeah. There's those people waiting on his porch, like waiting for cases.
Yeah, the guy who told him in the beginning, "Oh, you have to help me. My family, they're all dropping like flies. We're cursed." And he brings him up.
Tells me there's going to be another movie for sure.
Yeah, he brings him up to the roof at the end. It's like, "You're not cursed. It's your brother, and this is how he did it." And blah blah blah. And then the audio kind of peters out as you have like aerial shot of the city for the credits.
I had a dream. I had a dream a long time ago.
Hold on, Scott.
Okay, you go first.
The funniest thing about these three movies, or maybe the coolest thing I like about these three movies, is like Hercule Poirot is always kind of just absorbing shit. Like, right? So the movie is playing out, and there's moments where he's not saying anything or you don't see him, but he's absorbing everything that's happening. And then you get that big dump of his where he's just like, "You were there and you were there." And he just knows exactly where everybody is, because that's
1 + 2 + 2 + 1.
Yeah. So and in this one, you're kind of like wondering, like, when is he going to come into this movie and like bring this shit up? And the first thing he does is he brings up the Tina Fey stuff, right, Kat? Remember that was the first big reveal, was like, she kind of fucked him up. Well, she didn't fuck him over, but she used him, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, now where's this movie going? Because she's obviously not the killer, but she was using him for this thing.
Yeah.
I love that one about this movie is because like it had kind of two different reveals.
Well, like again, 3. Like it was a murder that the mom is the one who did it, and that and the reason the mom agreed to the seance at all is because we find out she didn't intend to murder her daughter, so she was kind of herself being taken. Like maybe there's something I could, she just kind of went along with it.
But that was still weird though that she was so interested in Michelle Yeoh's character, and she's like,
well, I kind of bought it because. Again, like when you find out that she genuinely didn't intend to murder the daughter, maybe just because she knows that she's playing on the haunted thing to get away with it, doesn't mean that she doesn't necessarily believe in those things. She might have, maybe that's why she held.
But what if that shit was true and they would find her out? Like she should.
Well, maybe she thought that. Well, because given that the way the flashback shows in the end, the daughter had no idea that anybody ever poisoned her. She just died kind of anonymously. Then. Maybe she thought, oh, if you summon the spirit's not going to know that I killed her because she didn't know that in her life. So, or something. Or maybe she's just desperate and doesn't care. She just wants to.
I drink tea. I never expect tea to kill me. So there you go. Sorry, Scotty.
Well, nobody
you
expects to drink honey with their tea.
Yeah, honey with your tea. Yeah.
Well, that's a deliberate.
When Michelle Yeoh does her whole fake possession thing where she's pretending because they said that the mom's like, oh, she's speaking in the same voice as my daughter. And it's like, yeah, she did. We heard it too. And I'm like, they don't really, because I get that why Poirot would think that if he's supposedly being drugged, but why does everybody else hear that too? It's like, I wasn't really clear on why
Well, hold on. Wasn't he drugged after?
Okay, maybe it was after then. So.
Because up until the point when they're in the room with the medium, everything is happening legit until he calls it bullshit. But that voice, it was deliberate for everybody to hear it, even the audience. But it never goes anywhere.
Right, and then later through the movie, there's this great bit on the soundtrack where even I wasn't sure if I actually heard it or not. I thought it was actual kids outside the auditorium where I was watching it making noise.
Oh.
And you realize that it's actually that Poirot's kind of hearing it too, but it's not obvious to him at first, and it gets a little bit louder each time throughout the movie when it pops up. But eventually, other characters claim they heard it too, and so it's like, well, because it's like, what exactly is going on? So they do leave it kind of ambiguous that maybe there actually was a partial legit haunting in the house.
Well, the last two films have been definitely rooted in reality, and it has been in physical manifestation of intent and motive and everything in terms of mystery. And I think that one of the things that put me off of A Haunting in Venice is that it was putting Poirot into a supernatural situation. And what you're saying, what it sounds like, is that it is taken from an analytical perspective, but it's also, you get messed up with the protagonist as you go along. Yes,
right. But they also, as I think on it, like at the very end when the ghost or whatever the daughter seems to touch the shoulder, you could also take that to mean that because Poirot kind of breaks his concentration from looking at the mom to looking at what he thinks is the spirit of the daughter, that maybe that's why the mom looked back and fell. And
sure.
Because we see the ghost kind of touch her shoulder, but Poirot's clearly looking over her shoulder, and that's kind of what she's so you can interpret that as the mom.
So does he see dead people?
Well, no, like I said, it's either hallucination or it's real. They don't really, they keep it, ambiguous.
Yeah,
it's sort of like with the kids, the voices of the kids in the background. It's like, well, he's hearing that, we're hearing that, and then later on in the movie you find out that other people were hearing that, but they don't really resolve it. And so I like what Superhero used to say about it.
I like to think that the supernatural elements were true.
Yeah. Sorry, Ernesto. What?
Sorry.
I like to think that the supernatural elements were in fact happening.
I agree, and I think no, I agree with Ernesto because like there's this moment where he doesn't he say to somebody like, "Hey, did you hear that?"
Yeah,
and they're like, "No, I didn't hear that." And then later in the movie, like, "Yeah, I heard it too."
Yeah. And superhero movies in the chat actually says a lot of interesting. He says he sees it like this. the ghost of the daughter pulls her down to pulls the mother to the bottom of the water with sort of a double entendre, being the haunted angle ended up being the mother's downfall, and she and ironically be with her daughter in the spirit world. It was a sad end for the mother when you think about it. And he says, yes, maybe there was a haunting in the house, and ironically, the contrived plan that the mother had was ultimately her downfall.
I like those chats when you.
And considering they kept bringing up the fact that because Poirot has experienced death, by meaning that he's seen it, he's been to war, and
Ross
he has
Poirot?
kind of like a kinship with, hey, at some point you kind of died for a bit, especially when they tried to drown him. So in a moment you can say that once he came up for air, he was now in tuned with the spirits of the house in a way. And maybe the drug is his way of admitting, okay, maybe it is the drug because there's no way this is real. I'm a man of science. I'm not a man of spirits. And when we get to that point on the roof, I'm like, okay, this was real. There's no way that mother would turn and scream if something wasn't there.
By the way, when the reveal happens that when he's bobbing for apples, it's that 120-pound woman that is dunking his head in the water. He's
holding him down, yeah.
He's a pussy. He should have been able to get out of that, right? I'm not saying like women are strong. I'm just saying like
from the angle that her hand is on his neck. It's like she's not pressing down on his whole back. Just on his neck. He should have been
able to get out of that water, man. It wasn't fucking Bane that was drowning.
Also, that water had wheels. That water had wheels. He could have just pushed that forward.
Yeah, he could have just lunged backwards, not even having to lift up his head. That would have just flipped the thing over. So yeah.
Yeah. But I did like how when the movie started, if I went by the trailers, my expectation was that, the medium is going to come in and she's going to be doing all these tricks. And my expectation was going to happen all throughout the movie. And at some point, their tricks were going to actually piss off an actual spirit in the home. And then someone is going to die, but not because of the spirits, but because somebody was getting, like you said, they were inadvertently getting close to the fact that, the child was killed. Mom gets it in her head that they're going to reveal her secret. And before it does happen, she kills the medium and then all hell breaks loose. But they did it so early in the movie that I'm just like, okay, I don't know where this is going to go.
It didn't happen exactly like that. Yeah.
That's what he's saying. He thought it was going to go that way, and then it didn't. And that's what I like, because it was kind of a surprise. But then there's the other reveal where you think that the story they tell at the beginning about the children being locked in during the plague, the mother's like, there's no basement in this house, but they hear voices and they go down there. And
there's no basement in the house. Yeah, that was.
And then there actually was a basement, and you actually see the evidence. It was a really creepy scene too, where you see the evidence of the kids who had been locked in here and just starved to death.
Oh, were there handprints on the walls?
There were some scratch marks on the walls, as if.
That's creepy.
And there's one skeleton.
There's one skeleton.
Oh, short, little.
No, but you're right, Kat. That scene where they talk about like there's no basement.
I haven't seen any of these movies. I'm gonna go smoke some weed and I'll be back in a second.
All right.
I agree with you. That's one of the most chill-inducing scenes of the movie for sure.
And the thing is that even if they didn't show the skeleton, just the pile of dolls was enough to kind of sell the point. The kids were actually locked in here. That speaks more volumes than actually seeing a body.
Yeah, that was really dark. And the fact that it's like
this is the darkest of the three for sure, right?
Well, yeah, because not only are they locked in the plague, but we see that the basement, because of the design from the gate, is prone to flooding, meaning they can both drowned and starved at the same time.
Oh my god,
how horrible this is. And I like that they never. I mean, I get it. The doctors and the nurses don't want an epidemic of plague to spread throughout the city, but it's still horrible, and nobody brings that. But it's like so dark how that goes.
And I know that at the end they said, nobody's gonna buy this house. Nobody's gonna buy this house. That thing is it's a messed up place. Nobody's gonna buy it. It's the equivalent of discovering that your house is on top of that was built on Indian land and kids were put in the basement during the end of the emancipation area. Of course nobody's gonna buy it. Burn it to the ground.
Yeah, because at first they're like, people don't buy the house because they think it's haunted. It's like, well, now that we know for a fact that there is a basement and there's all this evidence still there, it's like, well, now nobody's going to want to come here.
Nope.
But I liked that. I also liked the red herrings with the two siblings, the Romani siblings who were ripping off the family. And
I like to see the birth certificates. These two are not related.
Well,
at
didn't they
all.
say they were half siblings?
I don't remember if half siblings was mentioned, but
I
the
can't remember. Why did they want to go to Missouri?
yeah, I kept watching and I'm just like, okay, did I miss something? Because you two are not related at all.
Yeah, I think it was the white girl, because I think they're half siblings, and I think one of her relatives or whatever lives, like the father or something, lives in Missouri, and that's why they wanted to immigrate.
Yeah.
Well, they never say that they're related. They say that the guy says that she is my sister-in-law.
Oh, sister-in-law.
Yeah, they never say they're
In-law.
related.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I didn't
Which
hear.
leads me to believe that maybe they like ran off together or something. But they were like the best. They were the most like pure spirits out of everybody. Like they never
More
did
like-
anything bad or anything.
More like pure trouble because the girl kept punching her way through things.
Right.
I think
right.
I think that was the funniest part of the whole movie. Every time a door opened, bam, right in the face.
But they did say that they were brother and sister-in-law, and then
Okay.
Okay. Very specific, brother and sister-in-law.
I like those characters though.
I did. I liked them.
Oh, they're nice. I
Not
like
much
the
to
kid.
them, but you know.
Oh,
I
and
like
it-
the kid.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah,
Ernesto,
and I
before
hope
you
he
got
comes
here,
back.
Ernesto, we were talking about the kid. The kid is just gold. He's so
I like
good.
him. I like him. I hope if they do make a fourth one and they make it fast, that he comes back while he's still young enough, and they can make him junior detective with Poirot.
yeah, because he was the same kid in the other Branagh movie, Belfast, the main kid.
Oh, perfect. I like
He did
that.
a really great job. And then I recognized the ex-cop turned bodyguard. That's he played the villain in John Wick 2.
Yes, he gained a few pounds.
Yeah, he looks like he aged quite a bit, and it's only been like 5 years.
No, I think he just kept drinking. That's what happened.
Uh,
Because he looks very swole in the face. That's what I noticed.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm like, and that's why I falsely thought that movie was like 10 years ago. I'm like, wait, no, it was only like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was there.
Also,
Great.
yeah. Also, am I the only one who figured out the mystery with the guy and his family that somebody was poisoning them?
Well, Ben said he saw it coming that the mom was probably the guilty party.
No. I mean the guy that he kept ignoring, and he helped solve the case in the end. Am I the only one who already knew that his family was being killed by someone outside the family?
Oh, that. I thought he said at the end that it was your brother that was doing it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, okay,
So
I don't know if they're gonna come back to this, but it feels like someone's killing your family. They're not cursed.
Oh yeah. I figured they would come back to that at some point because the guy just seems so innocent and helped me. I'm like, Poirot's not a guy who's gonna, fully turn his back for it. Like they gotta bring that back. So that was nice that they brought that back.
He just needed a kick in the ass, and he got it in the form of a haunting. But if I had a negative, not everything was firing on all cylinders. My only negative really was the Tina Fey character. I know you guys liked her, but I just couldn't help the fact that it's Tina Fey, and I'm like, it's distracting because it's Tina Fey, and I know she's trying to play a character, but she's still Tina Fey, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't really. You can't help but notice that it's Tina Fey trying to do an accent of it for a character.
Is it just me, or did she have like makeup or something on her face? Because it looked like that she had some kind of like big scar or something going along the side of her mouth.
I didn't notice that. No.
Maybe I kind of noticed that.
Well, in my defense, my theater screen was poorly lit, so I really didn't notice
Oh
anything.
shit! Poorly lit. Yeah. I did
there were parts where I struggled to look even down the hallway. I'm just like, what am I looking at here?
Oh man, I hate it when that happens.
It does happen.
It's like when I went to see my Dark Knight screening today for Batman Day, and I noticed the contrast was pretty high, and I'm thinking, they seem they might have taken the screen here. But yeah, and then it's really sad at the end where the kid, like Poirot, I'm not sure at what point he actually figured out that it was, because when he's doing his big denouement, he's speculating that the doctor and the meat was the one who figured it out, and then instead, right at the end when they're leaving, he turns point right straight to the kid, and he's like, "Oh, it's not your fault" or whatever. And then the housekeeper's like, "What are you talking about?" And that's where the kid mentions it. So I'm not sure exactly how he pieced together that the kid was the one who had figured it out first, who was the blackmailer.
Maybe from the conversation they had near the bathroom.
Probably. Yes, that's right. Something like that. Because the kid was always, because I'm like, does the kid believe in ghosts, or is he hinting that something else is going on here, or he might be knowing something? Which he kind of does believe in ghosts, because as the boat is leaving at the end, he says, he's sorry about your father. He's like, oh, well, I might see him again or converse with him or whatever, because the kid still kind of believes in spirits.
Yeah, that's why I'm convinced that there was, and that even if it was ambiguous,
right,
I choose to believe.
Right, because when the boat's leaving, the kid's on the boat and he looks at the house, he waves at the house and he says goodbye, father or papa. Or
Does
whatever.
one of the kids use the Force on a broom?
No.
Oh.
No kids use the Force in this. Nobody uses the Force in this movie.
Well, it sounds
That's
like
not how the Force works, Scott.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
I think the smartest person in the room in every scene was the kid in this movie.
He was.
He really was. And
that sucks.
And then when his dad, spoilers, ultimately dies, like, you don't really even see that much like heartbreak. He's more like, we have to figure this out, Well,
that's why he says that to Poirot at one point. He's like, oh, what they say about my father, it's not battle fatigue. I think he's broken. And it's almost like he's mentally prepared himself for that, because he kind of it's like it's an inevitable thing that this is not going to end well for his father.
Kat,
yeah. Did
I already say anything about Benoit Blanc?
No.
And when it comes to Hercule Poirot and Benoit Blanc, like with these two, if you would call them sort of parallel whodunit mystery movies, like which do you prefer? Do you prefer the Rian Johnson Benoit Blanc mysteries, or
no? Those are fucking trash to me.
I love Glass Onion.
I'm sorry, you were asking Kat, not me, but I think Knives Out. I figured that mystery out in 2 seconds.
Here's the thing. I figured out the Knives Out mystery right when they shifted to the martyr character, because they tell you what happened, and then
I knew it in the trailer.
All the other characters that they set up as suspects do nothing else in the story. It's like you set up
exactly.
Here's the thing with Knives Out. It's like all of the as dim-witted as a lot of those people in that family were, they were all smart enough to ask, "Hey, this is already ruled a suicide. Why are you here?" And yet none of them start doing their own side investigations or conniving or say, "Hey, maybe you did it." Like none of that happens. They just all disappear into the background and have no bearing on the rest of the story. So when they show you what actually happened, I immediately figured it out. I'm like, "Oh, the son did it. He switched the thing around." It's like, done, got it. So that I didn't like, because he figured it out too early. I also did not like in Glass Onion how the way the ending plays out, it doesn't work. It's like, no, the girl is the one who's going to get in trouble, because everybody's going to speak the truth about what happened to the Mona Lisa. You're going to get in trouble for destroying the Mona Lisa. And because all the witnesses would have to, in telling their truth, would be admitting to perjuring themselves in the earlier trial, means they're not going to have any credibility. So the Edward Norton character is just going to walk. That's part of the reason why I bring it up, and I'm not just bringing it up to be contradictory, but I'm just asking because, again, I've been making fun of fucking Agatha Christie for being a lady author and everything, like whatever, but she is a master of suspense and mystery. Yeah, and these movies have been these stories have been made into movies multiple times. Like these are great stories. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so what you're saying is that Agatha Christie is better than Meg Ryan. I mean, Rian Johnson. I admit that.
Wait. Scott.
Agatha Christie is better than Meg Ryan. That's what I'm saying.
What roach did you smoke?
All of them.
I find that the Benoit Blanc movies, while I have big problems with those, I still find they can be enjoyable and fun to look at.
Nice, they're fun, but they're not.
Really, I think Rian Johnson is a hack, personally, but
I like some of his movies.
And then
I respect Kat's opinion. So.
I like the Agatha Christie mysteries, particularly Death on the Nile and A Haunting in Venice, significantly better by a long mile
than the Benoit Blanc.
So we actually did a mock commercial for Agatha Christie. We made on my channel.
You have a channel?
Cinemagope, which you can subscribe to. But we did a thing called the Agatha Crispy, which is a cracker. So you can get a cracker called the Abatha Crispy. Just letting you guys know.
It was Agatha all along.
It's not really like we can't actually sell you the crispy, but we will show you what it would look like, and it's amazing. Anyway,
I never would have associated crispy with a cracker, but sweet.
Oh man,
I wouldn't associate crispy with cream, but we have a donut.
Goes great.
I thought it was gonna be chicken.
Goes great.
By the way,
goes great with cheddar. Goes great with cheddar.
By the way, that blanket in the back makes me want to crave pizza. I don't know why, but every time I look at it, I think of pizza.
Pineapple.
Who's he talking to?
Your U.S. blanket.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Does Ernesto, does it remind you of Pizza the Hut?
Oh, fuck no.
He sends out for you.
You know, when I saw that movie for the first time, that is the only part I didn't like. I wanted the camera to move away from that abomination.
It was sickening to look at that. I can't stand it.
Pepperonis.
It had been such a while since anything so grotesque had ever been on screen, and that was it.
Yeah, it was more grotesque than the real Jabba by a long mile. That's for sure.
I would rather watch Goat See again than that shit.
That is a dream for me. Like some people think of chocolate mountains, like chocolate fountains, like where it just produces chocolate and it's just like I would love to eat Pizza the Hut. I thought that Pizza the Hut, like if he ate himself to death, yes, I would too.
He ate himself.
I meant that part was like funny.
Well, that will be the sequel with Scott.
But yes, to sum it up,
I will eat the Hut.
Death on the Nile Death on the Nile and Haunting in Venice are definitely better than the two Benoit Blanc movies. Even though I find the Benoit Blanc movies enjoyable, I find them enjoyable to watch, but as mysteries, again, like I said, they don't work. You just figure things out too early, or it just doesn't. The final plot logic just doesn't work. Even though the setting of the second one especially was really cool, and I loved watching Edward Norton in the second one, Dave Bautista.
Well, and this is a completely unrelated note, but like I'm a fan of mysteries. I'm a fan of noir, and this sort of moves a little bit forward. But there's going to be a new Sam Spade TV show on AMC. Starring,
I have no idea who that is.
Sam Spade,
Maltese Falcon, Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, Dashiell Hammett.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be oh my stars, what is his name? Clive Owen. Clive Owen is going to be playing Sam Spade, and he's in Europe, and he's gonna be playing sort of an over the hill elder. Burnt out. You know how they do it to the white male nowadays. Anyway, so
hopefully it revives his career because it's been a while.
Shut up, you're Puerto Rican. You're a person of color. I don't care what you say. I will quash.
Well, unfortunately, I'm white passing, so your argument isn't valid.
No, it's fair enough. You're right. You can impress me. But anyway, he's in. Well, you are impressive, and
of course, it's what they always say.
You squirt. So, and anyway, he's going to be in Europe, and it's called Bonjour, or no, it's called Monsieur Spade, and so it's going to be better than the Daryl Dixon show, but it's going to be like a murder mystery.
That'll be fun
in Europe with Clive Owen.
Yeah.
But like I said, hopefully it revives his career because he needs it.
I love Clive Owen. Like
I do too, but when's the last time he was anything worthwhile?
Awesome. I liked Valerian.
I am wondering because they did a 10-year jump on Poirot's the character timeline between Death on the Nile, which just came out a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now Haunting in Venice.
Yeah, but come on, you're a Bond fan, and look what they did to Daniel Craig.
I know, but I just meant to say that how far, because I like the fact that these stories, for the most part, are set in the 30s and then 1947. If they're gonna make more, I don't want them to be set too further ahead because I like the old timey, 30s, 40s like even Haunting in Venice didn't feel like something that was 40s or even later. It felt like it could have been a 30s story. Like I like stuff that feels
Nazis.
Period.
Were there any Nazis?
No, but they talked about They did talk about the thing that gave the doctor
The war?
PTSD was when he liberated Birkenau concentration camp and was talking about how he was trying to treat the victims.
That's
And
cool.
How that followed up with him almost leaving the profession behind because it scarred him so badly until he found out about this girl was trying to heal her back to health, and then she, died because of what the mother did and all that. And that
But
really,
isn't that interesting when you like? I know that it is sort of a lazy. I think it's lazy in terms of world building. In if you're going to set a story in 1940 whatever, and then it's like Nazis, and it's like, well, no, they don't have to be the bad guys, but like the world, it's like it's part of the reason why I like Casablanca so much is because the Nazis aren't the bad guys. They are bad guys. Like I'm not.
right.
But it's just the situation surrounding that is the antagonistic and the roadblocks between our main characters and happiness, as opposed to identifying a villain. The only villains in these mystery stories are the murderers, which is dope.
Yeah.
What was that movie that Del Toro did with Tom Hiddleston in 2015?
Sicario?
Sure. I'm gonna have one more.
No, it's it was with Tom Hiddleston, and it had that girl from the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland, and there's a haunting mansion there.
Kong Skull Island?
I think it was called
The Night Watchman. The
no,
Night
it was called,
Manager.
not Pacific Rim, but Crimson
Peak. Crimson Peak.
Crimson
Yeah,
Peak.
Gotham Romance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I can say that A Haunting in Venice is a better haunting than Crimson Peak. And Crimson Peak actually had apparitions in it, but went totally nowhere.
Hey, look!
We have somebody spamming in the chat.
I know! How do we get the fuck rid of this guy?
Spamming.
They're trying to offer us stuff to get rid of chatbots. Like it's,
I know! I can't wait! You know what? That's how you know you make it big time. You know you made it big time when you can, flush your bots.
Hey, you guys,
Well,
I got a jet, but I really appreciate the time and thank you for
Sure.
the invite. Kat and Scotty, thank you so much, guys. I hope I contributed something. If not, I apologize.
You
Do you have
graced us
anything
with a
you-
haircut. That's all you needed to do. Looking good.
You're very handsome. Do you have anything you want to, point people to?
No, we're just excuse me. Just go to Cinema and subscribe. That's it.
like and
Yeah.
subscribe to Cinnamon Gold.
Do you have anywhere that people can give you money?
No. Well, you can give me money. Just sell me. Just sell me that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like people should give
Yeah,
you money.
just make
right?
sure he blackmails you.
Yeah, he knows something secret about you, but
Subscribe to Cinema Go.
all right.
So how do you guys rank? Oh wait, how do you rank the movies, Ernesto?
Well, I'm gonna say they're in the low scoring tiers. Like none of them are in an 8 or higher. Most of them somewhere between 7.5 and lower. So I could probably say that I gave the first one a 7. I would probably give this one. I would give the second one like a 6, and I would give this one like a 7.5.
Okay. Yeah, I gave the first one a 3 out of 5, the second one a 3 out of 5, and the third one a 3.5 out of 5.
Wow.
So,
And the
So,
second
like-
one has the sexiest intro I've ever seen in a movie in a while.
I haven't seen it.
which one?
The second one.
Oh, the second
Death
one.
on the Nile.
Yeah, that entire sequence was sex on hardwood, literally.
Who's in it? Who's in the opening? Is it Gal Gadot?
Gal
Nice.
Gadot, Armie Hammer, and
Oh, he's a cannibal.
his fiance. I forget the actress name, but she was in the
Deborah Mackey.
Barbie movie this year. Deborah Mackey, that one.
Emma Mackey, yeah. Well, I thought the opening was the flashback in the war, isn't it?
No,
Oh.
yeah, that was a cold open, but the intro to the
Oh, the
initial
intro.
players, that was just well crafted. It was one of those things that I'm like, finally, movies can be sexy again, and it was great.
I forgot
Well,
the actress's name who played the blues singer who's on the boat. I really liked her character too, and they kept teasing that she and Poirot might they had a thing for each other kind of during the whole time, and nothing comes of it. But he ends up back at the blues club where she's singing 6 months later, and maybe he doesn't have his mustache anymore. Maybe she'll recognize him, and something will happen. Who knows? Well, I guess not, because 10 years later, Haunting in Venice, he's not with her or anything. But and the cast of those films were right, because they had what's her name who play Letitia Wright, who plays the niece in Death on the Nile, the niece of who's in love with Book, and he's in love with her. And you find out that Book's mother had secretly hired Poirot to come there to Egypt to spy on this girl, because Annette Bening was playing Book's mother, and she was very snooty and didn't like the idea that her son was in love with a black girl, and was fully expecting Poirot to find all this dirt on her to show her son, see, he's a monster, she's a monster. And then Poirot's like, no, that's not true. So that was a great bit there in the second film. And I like the design of the boat too in the second one. It's like, it looks kind of like a classic, nice little riverboat.
Yeah.
They have like gargantuan-sized versions of those now in Egypt for when the tourists come in the tourist season to head down and visit all the places that you want to see. And I forgot to. There's a really random moment in Death on the Nile, like a transition shot where it's like taken from the riverbank, and you see the boat out on the water, and they're like these seagulls that are sitting on the rocks at the water, and this alligator or crocodile just plunges out of the water and grabs one of them and eats it. It's so random.
What?
Yeah. It's random, and
it's one of those. It's one of those moments where, and right now we turn to nature documentary to please the eyes for some reason. It reminded me of that scene. It reminded me of that scene from El Dorado where the shark eats the dead seagull. It was funny.
Sometimes I wish I watched these movies.
And then there was the one moment which did break my immersion in Haunting in Venice, is that there's this parakeet or macaw or whatever in the house, and they're like, oh, it hasn't said anything or talked back since the girl died a year ago. But once the shit starts going down at the seance, the bird says, holy shit, and it cuts to the bird when it says it. And I was like, this is supposed to be 1947, and it's like you're trying to have this scary, intense scene at the seance. It's like, and like a weird Dutch angle zoom on the bird's face. It's like, holy shit. And I'm like, what the Like, it just doesn't fit at all.
I was expecting the bird to reveal something, though.
Yeah, because he's probably playing that trope to people. People were playing that expectation towards, oh, something's gonna happen, and then it didn't, which was actually kind of nice, because that would have been too cliche, because it's been done a lot.
Or at least the bird talking to something that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, so out of this trilogy of Hercule Poirot films that I've seen approximately 1/2 hour of, I'm gonna give it all an A+. I will prioritize it. Like, I have a benefactor who is a huge Poirot fan, and he's gonna want to watch A Haunting in Venice. So I know the Blu-ray is gonna show up in my lap at some point.
Did you hear that, Kat? He's got a benefactor.
I have a benefactor. I am a ward. I am a ward. And so I got the Blu-ray for the
Murder on
that's the one, but I like the Sean Connery one better. So I don't really feel.
Do you have the Connery one on Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've got the Ustinov of Death on the Nile.
Who does Connery play in that one?
He's one of the bad guys.
Okay.
It's what's his name? Albert Finney plays Poirot in the original, and then in the second one, it's Peter Ustinov in the Death on the Nile.
Yeah,
and Ustinov does another one, which is like Death Under the Sun or whatever. I don't know. Agatha Christie is bad with titles.
Yeah.
But
I read that one.
I know I'm going to see A Haunting in Venice, because I'm going to have to buy the Blu-ray for my dad, because he's gay. And he's going to want to see the new Poirot movie. And
the question is where you came from, though.
Well, no, I know. From the butt. So.
Clearly.
So anyway, I'm going to see all of these. I am very excited about them. I'm fascinated in terms of the differential between Benoit and Hercule, and I appreciate your thoughts on it. Now,
Hercule is far more intelligent than Benoit Blanc. I'm sorry.
Of course, but he is kind of portrayed as being like some kind of fucking knowledge goblin.
I just like the accent.
I had, you know what? It's one of those ones
Your
that
Honor,
I almost put on the subtitles.
I do declare, Your Honor, that a murder has occurred.
I do like it. No, he does. Like Benoit Blanc sings.
Honestly, the only thing that really tears that movie apart, the second one, Glass Onion, is when he actually says the one thing that most viewers are thinking. It's so dumb, it's dumb.
Yeah. But that's what
like,
also
like the one girl's like, oh, it's so dumb, it's actually really brilliant. It's like, no, it's just dumb, it's dumb.
But
Exactly,
that's why
it's
I
like,
love it.
You know, I get what you're going for, but it doesn't help when you actually call it out.
Well, the other problem I have with that movie is that I was on board with it for the first 70 minutes because I'm trying to figure it out and there's stuff going on. But then the movie like stops and they spend the next 40 minutes showing you like flashbacks of, oh, everything you saw in the first 70 minutes wasn't exactly true because they were like omitting things. And so like the whole story stops just so you can catch me up. I'm like, oh, you've been lying to me. So now I need to sit here and stop trying to figure out the story so I can catch up to what's actually going on. And once they catch back up to the present timeline after they finish this 40-minute detour, I'm like, oh, I figured it out. At the same moment, the Benoit Blanc is like, oh, I figured it out, which is another problem I have with that movie. But
but aren't you supposed to be walking along with the most brilliant person? And but then when you figure it out and he figures it out at the same time, but you are with that character.
Right, but what I'm saying is that I'm with that character for the first 70 minutes, but then it stops and it goes back and plays like 40 minutes worth of flashbacks showing that what we've already seen may not have been exactly what happened, and they show us other like extended versions, if you will, of stuff we've already seen.
Sure.
To fill us in more of what was actually going on. And it's like, okay, so you haven't been letting me be up to speed yet, so I had to stop trying to figure out what was going on for the movie.
I like it when they reveal
so you can catch up. Yeah.
Draw the curtain.
Yeah. But that very great set design on that too. That was like
what was it? What was that movie that he did with Steven Soderbergh and Channing Tatum? And
when he's in prison.
Yeah. What was that one called?
Logan Lucky.
Logan Lucky. That's a car race movie.
That's
I've yet to see that movie.
I haven't seen it either.
And the reason why I didn't see it is because it starred Channing Tatum.
Well.
This one, right?
We'll
Charming
see.
Tater's fine.
Because
I haven't seen it yet.
Ironically, I like Tatum when he is used in small doses, not when he's leading.
Kat,
pretty good.
Is there a digital copy in there?
Probably been used already.
I've used it already.
I wanted it.
Well, I could probably let you borrow my code or my password so you could watch the stuff on my movies if you want. I mean,
I'll find someone to pirate it.
Kat, be careful. Once you open that door, you won't be able to close it.
I'm international. I could fuck up your shit.
I could close it by just changing the password.
Well, yeah, no, I don't have.
No, I'm just saying.
By the way, this broadcast is not brought to you by any
VPN. I might actually buy a bunch of stuff on my card because there's no way to differentiate that.
Just make sure you're using a VPN, Kat.
Yeah, that's how I could have gotten this. He tried to give me a free digital code for Civil War, Captain America Civil War yesterday. It's the only Marvel one I don't have on digital, and it was region locked, so I wasn't able to use it. But I didn't think about VPNs.
I gave it to someone else.
Hey, I have a steelbook for Skyfall, and I can't play it because it's region specific.
Oh, I didn't know you had to. Oh, you got to send me a picture of that.
Yeah, I'll send one. It's a teal color with the James Bond target floating around.
Oh yeah, I got that one. I got the region.
I remember buying it off of Amazon, and I thought I was buying the actual Blu-ray movie. When it came in, it was like one of those first steelbooks I bought, and when I went to play it, it wouldn't play.
Like that.
So anyway, in final thought of the Hercule Poirot trilogy, I'm hoping for more.
Yeah, I do too, and I hope as long as
I would love nothing more.
as long as it keeps to the quality of the third one more than the first two, stick more with what the third one did right rather than the cheesy other things that the first two didn't do very well, and then and go from there.
Great.
And I don't mind the locations, but it's always good to keep it in one central part.
I would also maybe like him to change, because I admit by the time, if I had one negative on the movie, is that it was getting a bit old hat and predictable that, okay, everybody here is connected to the case, everybody here has a motive, so it's like you're kind of, it's recycling that same thing. And there's other Poirot stories where it's not just all in one room, everybody's in on it, or everybody has a motive type of thing. So maybe try to adapt a completely different type of Poirot mystery going forward.
Well, and as Cam said with David Suchet, I was kind of pissing on David Suchet, but like that was years and years of Agatha Christie Poirot stories. Like there are so many.
Yeah.
It's like Fleming.
If they did another one that was a one-room mystery, it most certainly will be And Then There Were None, because that's the big famous one that's also been done a million times. Like Death on the Nile has now been done at least 3 times. But they got things like
I Can't
House,
Read.
Endless Night, and then I got
I think the best way to go about it is, if you want to adapt it, you can adapt it, but just don't adapt it word for word. Actually change it up a bit. Maybe instead of making the one person you're expecting to be the killer, just change it.
Those are beautiful covers.
Or 5 Little Pigs. Those are 2 good ones.
Great.
Yeah. That's a good point, Ernesto. They could because the stories have been adapted so many times. Yeah. Why not change the guilty party just to surprise people?
Because that's not the story. It's not adaptation. You might as well make your own story.
No, it is adaptation.
I mean, because there's so many other movies that have already been. If it's a thing which like Death on the Nile, where there were already 2 of them that have already been done of the same story, then because they did take a lot of liberties actually with the story from the new Death on the Nile.
I think that there does come
under adaptation.
There comes a point when you change the story so much that it's not adaptation.
I agree.
It is taking advantage of the branding.
I disagree. I would say
then you're wrong, and I accept.
No, I disagree. You can still call it an adaptation if by just changing and tweaking it here and there, it's still an adaptation. It's adapted. It's not word for word.
No, but I understand changing things for adaptation's sake, but if you change the ending, then you are not adapting.
Here's a good example.
You're providing a new story.
Here's a good example. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow is not in any way, shape, or form accurate to the original story.
Okay.
It's like
it has a spirit.
It has the spirit of the story. It retains the spirit, the location, the iconography.
Okay, so what's the problem?
There's no moral. The moral of the original story is not presented.
Okay, but it's still Sleepy Hollow.
No, it's
still
not.
Adapted.
Because
it's still adapted.
No, but the original is not presented.
Right.
But it's an adaptation. If you want the same thing, you read it. That's all you. That's the.
No,
that's
but
the
then
thing.
it's not an adaptation. An adaptation maintains
Logan
the
is
spirit and ending.
Okay, but Days of Future Past and Logan aren't exactly like the comics, and yet it's still an adapted work.
Yeah. But that's more amorphous, I think, like in terms of comic book characters.
It falls in the same category. Just
I
the
would
same
put
way...
Sleepy Hollow in a more literary category than
terminology.
Logan.
In terms of
it's still literary. It's still adapted from a literary sense.
Yeah, okay.
But I do like the idea that, to that point, though, I wish that in the first decade of the 2000s, which was just a bunch of remakes nonstop, that they had changed things about the story so that it wasn't just a remake, because there were so many remakes coming out, and it's like the only thing that's different is that they're mostly worse, and the image quality is better because it's modern, but it's like change the story or change something to make it mildly more interesting, because everybody and their uncle already knows these stories, because you're literally only remaking the stuff that everybody knows already.
Well, they're just remaking it just to be more culturally sensitive. What can you expect?
Well, no, maybe nowadays, but I mean, 20 years ago, in the early 2000s, they weren't thinking as much about culture.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't that exactly. But now, when you're talking about modern remakes,
today.
Here we go.
I mean, let me rephrase that. I mean by modern is in in the early 2000s, where they're remaking stuff from the 70s or the 60s and stuff like that. That wasn't necessarily off color. They just remade it almost verbatim, and they never changed anything. Kind of like that almost shot for shot remake of Psycho from 1998. It's like, why did you do this? It's
Well, but that was a specific.
Masturbation,
That was
that's why.
that was a cinematic experiment.
Is it
That
though?
was Gus Van Sant trying.
Is it though? Is it
Yes.
well, kind of
That
like
is
when
what he
Michael
said.
Haneke,
That was what the intent was.
kind of like when Michael Haneke did an English language remake of Funny Games, his own movie,
Yeah.
his own data, and it's like, why did you remake
I've
it?
never seen either of them. I want to, but I'm terrified.
It's interesting because you could watch. They're close enough that you could watch like the English language version and find it to be just as good as the original Danish version.
I like. What's
That's
his
like the
name?
question,
Mr.
like,
Orange.
why did you want to do this? I don't know.
Eh,
Well, we still
Kinda
get
like when
news
they
like
said
a man called Otto, so it's not gonna stop.
Oh, I know a good example of what Scott's talking about in terms of something not being an adaptation. The fact that it was announced after the movie Another Round came out that Leonardo DiCaprio's production company wanted to do an English language American remake, and it's like the relationship that America has with alcohol is completely different from the relationship that Denmark has with alcohol, to the point it's not even remotely, or the Netherlands is gonna have, it's not even remotely going to be the same thing. Because in the original movie, high schoolers can have alcohol; they're age appropriate, and they have a completely different type of relationship with it. And as a whole, in terms of alcoholism and how that's all handled over there versus what it is over here, it's like it's not even going to be remotely. Yeah, it's like not even going to remotely be the same thing. So it's like, yeah, you're saying you're borrowing it, but the movie, it's precisely because all of the stigmas and problems of alcoholism isn't really prevalent over there that the movie wasn't really about that. It was just about.
That's why nobody gives a shit about them.
Right, it was more.
Well, but it turns it into.
The movie was more about their own personal lives and problems. But if you do that over here, because
It
of how
turns
radically
into leaving
different-
Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's like because of how radically different a relationship with alcohol is, it just doesn't really work. It's like, why do that, But
Yeah, but that's changing it from page one. I'm just saying, change the person who caused the death. I'm not saying change the whole story.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, punch him in the face.
Yeah, because
Anyway,
you can
can
still
I
have
go?
the connect.
Like,
You can
speaking of
leave at
alcoholism,
any
I wanted to
time.
go
We
and
can
get drunk
stay.
and high. Can I leave?
Right, we've been going on for quite a while, and it seems
Are we
like
done?
Okay, all right.
I can fire up the Zoom afterwards if people want to join.
Oh, members only. Welcome to the Phantasmagorium. If you would like to join us, I don't know how you do that. Give it a go. See what happens.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming. We've been zigzagging all over the place tonight.
Thank you to Superhero Movies in the chat.
Yes,
you are a
Superhero Movies.
champion.
Great comments. Yes, and
Cinematic Universe Ultimate. You're okay.
I'm always here.
I guess.
And Cam.
Cinema Gulp, thank you for being here. Cam. I wish you nothing but endless orgasms.
I believe the superhero movies. This is the first time I've seen superhero movies here.
Very engaged. I love you. Diggs, by the way.
Here, one last thought, closing thought. He said that
yes,
I think they should have really leaned into the horror elements much more than they did in A Haunting in Venice. Would have been a better film, but overall he liked it. Loved the juxtaposition and theme of death caused supernaturally or not. Love the element it had going throughout almost all the film. The mood is definitely differentiates itself from the first two Poirot films. Definitely unique in that aspect. And again, the shots and framing were perfect. Even though that's his second favorite. His favorite was Death on the Nile. But yes. So yes, thank you, Superhero Movies. This is the first time I've seen you in the chat. I don't know if you've been watching our stuff before, but thanks for joining.
You're your own brand, good sir or madam.
Yes. All right. Well, until next time. I'll see if I can.
What are we doing next? What are we going to do next?
Well, actually, it expires tomorrow.
Batman.
Oh, we're done.
Our thing expires tomorrow and won't renew until December 17th unless we pay it before that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
Steve,
don't forget to.
Oh, we have to pay the StreamYard's bill.
We need money. We just need money.
I think it's like $30.
Is it? Yeah.
Is it a month?
You cheap son of a bitch! You can't pay $30.
Well, it's not that.
No.
We're trying to work things out with our boss. Well,
Our boss. I ain't no sucker for nobody.
Okay, see you. I'm gonna sign off before things get out of control.
Yeah, let's fucking.
Bye.
We're on strike. SAG-AFTRA.